This is the Action Movie Guys podcast, bringing you action movie reviews from across the decades, plus box office numbers and insight like never before. And now your hosts of the Action Movie Guys podcast, Alex and Nate.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to episode number 154 of the Action Movie Guys podcast. I'm your host, Nate. This is my co-host,
Alex Figueroa.
And we are moving into the 90s. Last week, we were still in the 80s. We wrapped that up with The Untouchables. It was a great time. Now we're moving into the 90s. And our first 90s movies, as voted on by you guys over on Instagram, is a little John Woo movie starring John Travolta, Nicolas Cage. It is, of course, 1997's Face Off. Alex, a very famous action film.
Yeah.
Especially if you grew up in the 90s at all. When's the last time you watched this movie?
I say a long time ago. I don't remember when was the last time, but it's been a while. I mean, we'll talk about why, but it's been a while. And it's funny because I watched it on Blu-ray, and halfway through the Blu-ray, the disc doesn't want to work no more. Oof. And I had to get it digital so I could finish the movie review. So I was like, this pissed me off.
That just did you dirty.
Yeah, the disc did me dirty.
Yeah, it's been a while. You know what's funny? I love 90s action movies, but this was never one of my staples. This was never like one of my go-tos. I think it's because I didn't grow up watching it. A lot of the ones I watch a lot are ones I watched when I was younger. This came out when I was 10. I didn't see it until I was like probably a little older, like in high school. So it's not one that I watched a ton. I haven't seen it in years. It's been years. I have no idea. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to talk about it though. So before we do that, let's give you some Rotten Tomato scores. And then we're just going to get right into it. Now, last episode, Die Hard, very high scores. This week, Face Off, still pretty high scores. I did not expect this. This has a 92% critic score and an 82% audience score. Now, the 82% audience, I believe. I'm surprised that this has a 92% critic score, but maybe not. Not after watching it, maybe.
You know, it's kind of funny that you say that because, I mean, we reviewed we're up to 154, and a lot of the movies that we reviewed that are good action movies has the lowest numbers of critics. And then the movies that we really think is going to be really bad with the critics are like the highest amongst the good movies, right? I mean,
like if you explain this plot to somebody, they'll be like, that sounds like a real piece of crap movie. But maybe with the hands of this talent, with some John Woo, with some Nicolas Cage, it just works out. So we're going to let you know what we think of the movie. Now, Alex, this is going to be an interesting scenario because both actors play both the lead hero and the main villain. So here's what we're going to do.
It's a hybrid, yeah.
You're going to score it a total, obviously still, but you will mark each guy for how they did in the role as well and then give it a total points, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I see what you mean. So like John Travolta as Nicolas Cage and
John Travolta as the good guy, and then Nick Cage as the good guy. That's your lead character, and then each one as the bad guy.
Okay. All right. Yeah. All right. Sean Archer is played by John Travolta. Okay, so Sean Archer is played by two characters, played by Nicolas Cage and is played by John Travolta. Sean Archer is
John Travolta shirt first.
Yeah. Okay, yes. And then he becomes Castor Troy. I'll go with John Travolta first. I liked him. It's a very 90s written character. And what I mean by it, he's a father that lost his son due to the main villain. He got shot, he got sniped, and honestly, it wasn't his fault because you could tell he was shocked that the bullet went through and killed his son. So it wasn't like he was meant to kill his son. He was just meant to kill Sean Archer, but the bullet went through. It was kind of a high, powerful rifle too. So it wasn't not like
a sniper rifle.
Yeah, with a silencer. So it was pretty much a straightforward, like a 50 caliber. Yeah. But anyway, so he has his demons that he's trying to face. He's trying to hunt down Castor Troy. By all means, his family's like dismembered and going crazy. Like, right?
Dismembered.
Not dismembered.
They're dysfunctional.
Yeah, dysfunctional.
They got no arms and legs. They're dismembered. Dysfunctional. Yeah. Exactly. They have no legs.
No,
this whole thing has made them lose their legs.
Yeah, they dysfunction. They're not dismembered. Yeah. But... And then in his work, he's working super hard. You can see his beard is kind of like shadowy, and he's working hard to get this dude. And guess what? The beginning sequence is, I think, one of the best sequences I think I've seen in an action. This is so far-fetched and so hilarious, but it's so good. But the terms of character, because we're not talking about action, I liked him. I gave him a 5. He was very fun. He was really a fun character. He has flaws, and I loved it. His flaws were he had to catch Castor Troy at all costs. Like, it killed not killed his family, but it was just destroying his family life trying to get this guy. Now, revert to Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage as Sean Archer. Look, dude, I think that was the weakest out of the two. That is the weakest character, is when Nicolas Cage is Sean Archer. I mean, there's some scenes in that. I mean, it is really bad. I mean, one thing is that Sean Archer is John Travolta. If you really look at it, to me, it was John Travolta. Nicolas Cage, yes, he had to play him as John Travolta, but his acting chops, I did not see that. I only saw it a little bit in certain scenes, but it wasn't full-fledged Sean Archer. Yeah. It was just like, he was just like acting pretty much. Yeah. The scenes with him and his wife was really bad. The scenes that when he's fighting his other self and his daughter, he's like, don't shoot me, shoot him. And they had because their voice boxes all messed up. So I was just, oh my God. It was, that did not work for me. So with that said, I gave Nicolas Cage as Sean Archer, I gave him a 4. He was entertaining. He led it. But I think John Travolta in this part of the lead character is the better half of Sean Archer. Kind of weird to see. But
yeah, I agree. Sean Archer. Okay. Sean Archer as a character, I gave him a 4. Mm-hmm. I think he's, like you said, he's good, but he's fairly, that is like it's like they went down a checklist. Okay. He's like, son gets killed. Okay, family dysfunctional. Okay, marriage is in shambles. Okay, daughter can't relate to him. Okay, works too hard. You know what I mean? Like, they just did the whole checklist.
Loses his friends.
Yeah, cliche cop guy who's like hard boiled. You know what I mean? So, like, as a character, I give him a 4, but he's still good. I do like him. You're right. I do like him. Now, John Travolta playing him, good. Actually, I like John Travolta playing Sean Archer. I think he seems like Sean Archer to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, Nicolas Cage playing Sean Archer, I don't like him as much. Nicolas Cage is for lack of a better term, he feels too caged in by that role. You know what I mean? Like playing the honest, good guy who's trying to, like, honey, it's me. It's like, it doesn't work for me as much as it does Travolta. So I think Travolta plays Archer better than Cage. Okay, so now lead villain is, of course, Castor Troy, and he is played by John Travolta. Well, first Nicolas Cage, and then John Travolta. So same thing. What did you think of Cage as Troy, and then Travolta as Troy?
All right, so Nicolas Cage as Castor Troy is freaking amazing. You know what? I gotta say, we got Hans Gruber, and my man Castor Troy is right up there with the villains. I think he's a badass villain, dude. Yep. He has the trope of villains. Mm-hmm. He is a sexy dude, right? He's a badass dude, right? He gets the ladies because he knows he's badass, right? He has golden guns. Like, who has golden guns in a suitcase when he rolls up to a plane and he has his cricket gum that he puts in his bag? I think that's so badass. And then, come on, you cannot get any badass when he told the lady, if I stick my tongue out, can you suck it? And she did it. And I was like, that's the best villain ever, right? Like, that is just best.
He doesn't care.
He just
shows he doesn't care.
Yeah, but the best part is when Sean Archer curses and he goes, shut your fucking mouth. He goes, no, watch your fucking mouth. And I'm like, wait, you just cursed in a sentence? It was amazing. I was like, that is awesome. Look, Nicolas Cage is Castor Troy. Now, John Travolta as Castor Troy is good too. I think he was really good as Castor Troy. He plays a really good bad guy, to be honest with you, John Travolta. I thought he had the mannerisms of Nicolas Cage very down packed. You could tell he played the character very different from when he's the good guy. So it worked very well. Again, I prefer Nicolas Cage over John Travolta, but in this case, they had to switch the bodies. I thought it worked very well. So I give both 5s across the board, because they were very solid. The only thing I will say is that in terms of lead characters, Nicolas Cage was the weakest link as Sean Archer. But other than that, John Travolta as a villain, he was really good. And then Nicolas Cage is by far one of the best villains to me. We got 90s has some good villains, dude. Think about it, right? We had Nicolas Cage, right? Castor Troy, Wesley Snipes as my man in Demolition Man,
Simon Phoenix,
baby, right? Yep. So like those are the two dudes, and then you got Dennis Hopper as the dude from Speed, which was really good. Oh
yeah, with his disgusting hand,
with
love
it. Disgusting hand, yeah, Jack. Yep. You know he did it for the money, right? So
pop quiz,
hot shot. Yeah. So honestly, 90s, I gotta say, we did a lot of movies so far. 90s has some great villains, where the 80s have great heroes. If you really think about it,
we got 4 more 90s movies this month. Well, more actually, because one of the Die Hards is in the 90s. 2 of the Die Hards are in the 90s. And then we have 4 other 90s movies. So we're going to see how many great villains we can get out of this bunch. I'm hoping for a lot.
You know what? I'm going to write a list. So then when we finish the month of May, I want to get how many 90s villains that we tackle that we're going to give 5s to. Because I got to see this. Because this is going to be interesting. Because if we really think about it, I think 90s has the best villains. And I know for a fact, I'm not jumping the gun, but I know I'm jumping the gun. Die Hard with a Vengeance has a pretty good villain. And I know for a fact, I know Die Hard, Live Free or Die Hard is in 2000s. So that don't count.
But some movies we're not doing that has great villains too, just off the real quick. You know, of course, The Professional, Gary Oldman, amazing in The Professional. He will be coming up in The Fifth Element, which we're going to be reviewing shortly too, as well. So Gary Oldman. What else do we got? I don't remember who's the villain in Hard Target, but somebody's maybe cool in there. I don't know. And yeah, so to me, I agree with you. I think the 90s was the era of where the bad guys really came up and were like the better of the more interesting and fun
Mr.
character.
Smith, Matrix 1.
All-timer to me. I think he's great. T-1000. That's a 90s villain. T-1000. We gave him a 5 a while back. So we'll see if it continues, but you're absolutely right. Now, Castor Troy. Amazing. He's insane. He's absolutely crazy. And so here's the thing. I think both actors do great as Castor Troy. I think Nicolas Cage is the perfect choice. He is insane in this movie. And that's why when he becomes Sean Archer, it's not as interesting anymore because he's so insane. But John Travolta gets the benefit of being the good guy first and then also getting to be the bad guy. Yeah. So in that way, Castor Troy is the movie to me as far as the characters go, because John Travolta absolutely takes the scenery and chews on it to like never before. And I think he's a lot of fun. When Nicolas Cage is Castor Troy, oh my gosh. I mean, he is like as Nicolas Cage as you can get. So I think both guys play Castor Troy amazing. And I think Travolta plays Sean Archer better than Cage does, in my opinion. But I like that they both got to play the hero and the villain in the same movie. I thought that was fun. So moving on, action scenes.
All right, now this thing has good action. Now this is 90s action at its best, right? Because, I mean, you have gunfights, you have flying, you have helicopters, you got, remember that video game, Lethal Weapon, or Lethal Force, or Force Enforcer, that they're in the hangar and you had to shoot? It was like a pizza arcade game.
Oh, yeah, where you got, it's like the arcade game. Yeah. You get a plastic gun and you shoot at it.
Yeah, and it was basically the same type of thing. Anyway, those scenes were so good. The beginning sequence of Sean Archer chasing Castor Troy was so freaking good, dude. Like, it set up the whole movie. I mean, it was very far-fetched when he had the Hummer, and I'm like, damn, this plane doesn't take off yet? Like, this thing would have been gone already. But they took that, you know, it took forever, but the helicopter landing on the wing, and I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. I liked it. I thought those scenes were good. The John Woo scenes towards the end started to get really far-fetched for me, right? It's just very 90s. You know, they shooting each other from close, you know, like right there, and they still can't hit each other. They jumping behind pillars, and I'm like, what is going on here? Slow motion, doves everywhere. I was like, oh, man. The boat scene was actually pretty cool. I like the boat scene. I thought it was really cool. The ending fight when he starts to scratch his face, I was like, oh, man. I was like, that's kind of brutal. And then
Jesus, that came out of nowhere. That caught me off guard.
That was my favorite line. Why don't you die?
Oh my gosh.
Anyway,
amazing.
Look, action is so good. You have every type of action here. John Woo is like kind of the master of the actions for the 90s. So I gave it a 5. There's no way I could score it other than that.
Yeah, this is a 90s action film through and through all the way. John Woo, I believe this was his third American film, like Hollywood film. He, of course, prior to this did some Chow Yun-Fat movies.
Yep.
Killer, Hardboiled, good movies. And then he did Hard Target with Jean-Claude Van Damme. And then he did Broken Arrow with John Travolta and Christian Slater. And then this. This is way better than Broken Arrow. It's not even close. I don't even want to hear it. Broken Arrow is an okay movie. It's not bad. This is way better. We're going to review Hard Target later this month, so we'll get to that then. But the action in this, I agree with you. I mean, John Woo is a master of the 90s Asian cinema action style. And it's really it's a ballet of bullets, the way this guy films. You know what I mean? It's slow motion, a lot of slow motion. You're right. Yeah, sure, they miss a lot, but also a lot of people get hit by bullets in this movie too. So
yeah, they do.
The main stars don't always, but other people do. And it's not, the movie's 2 hours, similar to Die Hard, as far as it's got like a lot of story and stuff, but then there is a lot of action as well. It's a good balance, in my opinion. Now, whether you love the story, which we're going to get to or not, that's a different story, but it is a good balance. But there's plenty of action, extremely well shot, especially for 97. This is the before CGI and all this stuff, right? So more practical effects, maybe some in-camera stuff, but John Woo, I feel like really, he kind of pioneered that slow motion style. Now, I know The Matrix came out in 99, and I know the Wachowskis are very inspired by John Woo's style of action. So if you watch his movies and then watch The Matrix, you could point out, you could see a lot of the inspiration. He's a pioneer, in my opinion, as far as action cinema, and I gave it a 5. I think the action in this movie is great. I don't have any problems with it. Okay, storyline.
All right, so storyline is where it takes a little nosedive. For me, it takes a nosedive. I think the storyline is, honestly, the storyline is weird and wacky, right? If you really think about it, it's like a science fiction action film, because that's what it pretty much is. It's a science fiction film. But I felt like there was a lot of loopholes here and there throughout the movie. There's a lot of loopholes in the movie. Like, it's only a secret people. Only 4 people know this is going to happen. It's like a black ops thing. And then the only people that dies, and then all of a sudden, at the end of the movie, miraculously, everybody knows the research and knows how to switch faces. So, honestly, I wasn't too crazy with the storyline. I liked the beginning when Castor Troy killed him and his son. Killed his son by mistake. I thought that was good. I was like, man, this is how it's very strong. He captured him, but I felt that was rushed, if you know what I mean. It felt very rushed when he captured Castor Troy, and then all of a sudden, there's a bomb. We got to figure out where the bomb is. And he's like, what? Like, I just captured this guy. Now all of a sudden, then he's like, we have this procedure that we switch you guys, and since you know him, you're the only one that knows him. And I'm like, this is so like far-fetched. But I was like, okay. I wasn't too crazy with that, because it was just like, I felt like it was thrown at you at 100 miles per hour. If you know what I mean. It was like my man just literally captured the damn guy who killed his son. Within a day later, it's like, you have to become him. And it's like, give me 2 days to say yes or no. And he did it like the next a few hours. He was like, okay.
1 hour later.
Yeah, he was like, I'm in.
I thought about it.
Yeah, he's like, I'm in. And I agree with you. I think Castor Troy, to me, it would have been more fun if the first half of the movie was Castor Troy wreaking havoc on John Travolta. Like, every time he tries to capture him.
As Nick Cage?
Yeah. Yeah. Like, every time he's about to capture him, he's weasel his way out. And you're like, but then he finally captures him, and then the big bomb, whatever. And then you could do the whole face-off thingamajiggy. Because honestly, it felt kind of draggy in certain parts. I was like, damn, this is dragged. Especially when he becomes Sean Archer, Nicolas Cage, when he sees his wife, I thought that was so dragged out. He was like,
and it's creepy with the daughter, like the stuff with the daughter is all creepy.
It felt unnecessary. I know, I kind of understand why they did it, but for me, I felt like it was very unnecessary. He was like, if you look at my blood type, Sean Archer's a B positive or A positive, and whatever, and then she does it, and she pricks him with the little pen, and I'm just like, oh, come on. Like, that stuff annoyed me. It irked me, but the stuff in the, I do enjoy certain things. I'm not going to say I don't. I do enjoy the Super Mario boots in the jail cell. the power boots.
The magnetic shoes. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought that was fun. Like that whole sequence was actually really cool. You know, when he's first in the body and then he starts to lose it. To me, look, the storyline for me, it's a good. I don't think it's a great, and I don't think it's a perfect, to be really honest with you. The only reason this movie is where the stature of this film is because of the two powerhouse of Nicolas Cage and John Travolta. And I'm going to give it a 3 out of a 5.
Yeah, we're on the same page there, brother, because there's one word to describe the plot of Face Off, and that word would be stupid. It is a stupid
That's
idea.
a good way to put it.
It is. It doesn't make any sense physically. So you're telling me that this surgery is you take one guy's face, put it on the other guy's face, right? That's the surgery.
Yeah.
Now the hair, everything just stays perfect. Their bodies, which are not the same bodies. Okay. John Travolta's exact body shape and type is not Nicolas Cage's exact shape and body type. The wife should have known. The wife, if she saw him unclothed, would know if that was her actual husband or not, even if they had the face switched off. Period. It doesn't. It just would. She would, but she doesn't. And the voice thing doesn't make any sense. Like how they could talk exactly how the other one talks. You know, they try to explain stuff, but it's all stupid. It's all stupid. Now, why it's not all the way like a 2 or 1 for me.
Yeah.
I do, like you said, I do like the dynamic of Castor Troy and Sean Archer. Like I like their kind of back and forth as a hero and villain. You know, that's solid. I do like a lot of the sci-fi aspects. Like I like the idea. It seems like they didn't. I don't know. Maybe if this movie was made newer, it might work a little better with some of the science stuff because it doesn't make it. Yeah, you know, it doesn't make a lot of sense. It doesn't make a lot of sense, and it's pretty stupid. And then, but overall, it's fine. You know, I think, like you said, the movie's carried by Travolta, Cage, John Woo's direction, and the action. Because the story ain't what we're coming to the theater for with this movie. Not me, at least. So I also gave it a 3. I think it's fine for an action film. You know, I think you can get away with being a little dumb in the genre, to be honest with you. And this pushes the limit of like, this is about as dumb as you can get without going below a 3, in my opinion. So it's pretty stupid, but it's fun stupid, at least. Okay, so overall.
All right. So overall, the movie is entertaining. It's a very entertaining movie. There's some dead spots. I'm going to be really honest with you. There is just some spots that I'm like, man, I could have just cut this damn thing out, fill this in. We would have been good. Again, John Travolta's again, at that time, John Travolta was kind of peaking high because then he took a nosedive when he did that. This
was like after Pulp Fiction. So his career was back, like, you know, coming up.
Yeah, it's going up. And Nicolas Cage also was like another high actor because of Con Air and then all this stuff. Yeah, The Rock. Yep. So you got those two power A-list celebrities at the time at their peak of their stardom, superstardom, I mean. And it worked for this type of movie. Now, I understand what you were saying. Like, if this was a newer version, I do agree with the newer writing that we have could flush out a lot of the crap that we had in that movie. The science base, you're right. It could work. But I think that for me, the troubling is the acting switching. Like me acting like you and you acting like me. Like you have to have really good actors to do like the mannerisms of each other. And I think that's what this movie highlights very well, to be honest with you, between Nicolas Cage and John Travolta. Yes, I do agree. Nicolas Cage as Sean Archer is a little bit no bueno for me.
Kind of boring.
It's kind of flat. Yeah, it's kind of like a flat pizza. No good. Honestly, I gave it a 4 for entertainment. Action packed. I love their chemistry. Even I just love that dynamic between Nicolas Cage and John Travolta. Whoever's what, because at certain point you get confused. I'm gonna be honest with you, man. There is no, it is confusing at certain parts. So I gave it a 4. I think it's a great film. Is it like 90s? Yeah, it's a 90s action movie, but I don't think it's like a Speed where Speed carries the 90s and it still holds up. This one, yes, I'm stamping it for a 4 for great, but it's not like it's like the Speed of the 90s, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I like this movie a lot. Don't get me wrong. I like it a lot. It's stupid, but I like it a lot. I have a lot of fun. It is too long. Now, where Die Hard, you know, when we talked about that last episode, it's little over 2 hours, but it goes by fast. This is 2 hours and 18 minutes, and it doesn't go by that fast to me. There's a lot of parts where it's like, okay, but this is not that interesting. Castor Troy's amazing. That's an amazing character. Whoever's playing him is the most interesting part of the movie, whether it's Travolta playing Castor Troy or Cage playing Castor Troy. It don't matter. It's the more interesting character. So he's fun. The action scenes are fun. It's well shot, like I said. I gave it a 4. I like the movie. I've always enjoyed Face Off, but again, it's not one as a 90s action film fan. It's not in my upper echelon of 90s action. Speed, Twister, Terminator 2, even like Demolition Man. Like there's like a ton of other movies I would pick over this. I could probably name 10 easy that I'd pick over this if I wanted to watch like a 90s action. This is probably like in the next tier down. It's good. It's good. Don't get me wrong. 4 out of 5 is nothing to sneeze at, but it's just not my personal favorite. Heck, I think I like, as far as Nicolas Cage movies, like I prefer The Rock to this. I prefer Con Air to this. I think Con Air is kind of stupid, but I think I like it better. So,
it's funny you say that. I prefer 8mm.
8mm is a good movie too.
Yeah.
He had a lot of good movies in that, 90s into the very early 2000s. And Face Off is good, but like just as far as like action, even Gone in 60 Seconds I like better. So this is probably like my fourth or fifth favorite Nicolas Cage action movie from the 90s. As far as Travolta goes, it's probably high because he didn't do a ton of action. And I like this better than Broken Arrow, but and Look Who's Talking 2 or Look Who's Talking Now, whatever, whichever one it is.
Isn't Swordfish an action film?
It was 2000s.
Okay.
So if we're just talking 90s, it was like Broken Arrow, this.
Tank Girl. Oh, what was the one that he had the dreadlocks?
Oh, Battlefield Earth.
Yeah.
It was like sci-fi. That was horrible. So this is probably his best action movie, actually. Yeah. It's Travolta's best and like my fourth favorite Nicolas Cage one. But either way, good, fun movie. So I give it a 4 as well. What's your total points?
I gave it a 22 out of 25.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, I'm at a 21 out of a 25 for me, 22 out of 25 for you. It's good. It's fun. It's entertaining. It's a little long in the tooth. There's some stuff that's very, very stupid. But, you take the good with the bad and you have a good time with. Just watch Nicolas Cage and John Travolta absolutely ham it up for 2 hours and be absolutely ridiculous. And see doves in slow motion flying out of it. That's pretty great. All right, now, moving on to our next episode. We, of course, will be continuing on with the Die Hard franchise with Die Hard 2. New director, no John McTiernan. We got Rennie Harlan taking over for Die Hard 2. And then moving on to the 90s movie now, we got a special Bruce Willis special next week because we're going with some sci-fi action with The Fifth Element. I can't tell you how excited I am to review this movie. I'm going to come right out and say it. This is a childhood like favorite. So I've seen it a million times, but I've never seen it on 4K. I got the 4K. I'm looking forward to popping that baby in and watching it twice. Just for this review. I'm watching twice. So yeah, next week, Bruce Willis double feature, Die Hard 2, The Fifth Element.
Yeah, you guys want to follow us on our social media accounts, please follow Nate over on Instagram at Netflix Reviews. Check out the podcast with him and his friends called Netflix Movie Reviews. Anything action movie, guys, head over to youtube.com/geeks and flicks for the video versions of the podcast. If you want to take us on the go, search for Action Movie Guys on Apple Podcast, Stitcher, Spotify, TuneIn Radio. Just search for Action Movie Guys. Subscribe. And of course, we have a website coming soon at www.geeksandflicks.com. Other than that, that's your host,
Nate from Netflix Reviews.
I'm his co-host, Alex Figueroa. Be awesome to each other and geek out.